techno evolution for the dead.
Psychotic dreams arise in thread. I see the world in neon red. The mind and the spirit amplified. Running out on the edge, running out on the edge. To break every limit, maximize. Running out on the edge, running out on the edge.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the ORL Future Esports and Next Level Racing Nations Cup, brought to you by Mobiuz Gaming. My name is Dan, and today we head to the three beautiful circuits of Russia, Abu Dhabi, and Canada for the teams battling for a spot to be a reserve in the main series. Today, I'm not alone. I'm being joined by the one, the only Badgerman, also going by Austin Smith. Austin, how are you doing tonight? Uh, Sorry, Austin. I'd just like to mention in the chat, people are saying that your microphone's actually been muted this
Oh,
this
yeah.
entire time.
That's a
Oh,
good
dear.
point. That's a good point, actually. I apologize for that. Yes, my microphone has been muted. Thank you very much for letting me know. Technical difficulties, I'm going to claim here. But yeah, so you saw the lineups already. We're going to quickly go through them once again. First off, the format. 5-lap race, random grid to determine the grid order for the 25% race around Russia, reverse grid plus 25% race for Abu Dhabi, and then a short quali, 18 minutes, one session, plus 25% race for Canada. The point system, you saw it earlier, you'll see it again. 15th place will not get a point because 15th place is not here. So we only have 14 drivers as we're already getting ready. So let's get in immediately. No formation lap. Let's jump in.
Yes, so they've just got the run-up in towards turn 1. Dylan Warren leading from Santos in towards the first corner. Now in towards turn number 2. You can see the Racing Point car of the Hungarian Czel. Hopefully I'm saying that one right. He's gone up the inside of the Red Bull car. He's already losing a number of positions. He has to go around the bollards as there's yellow flags. Further back behind, I believe that is the Korean driver of Jong. As more cars further back behind the two Alfa Romeos.
Oh, there's a massive crash.
Spaniards. Oh, dearie me. That is a big one there.
Yeah, Alves in the wall there. He is without a front wing, it seems, for the most part. In fact, he is completely without a front wing, clean, torn off the nose there, and with a penalty to boot as well. So to add insult to injury, it's all come undone for him there. And I think we might have no game audio either. I need to quickly fix that. Apologies for all the technical difficulties. It's all on very short notice here, but we should have game audio right now. And we see Alves. Meanwhile, Warren leading the way. Sella second. Santos in third. Baena and Quesada. The Spaniards doing really well for themselves here in P4 and 5. And then Bial in P6 also making it a pretty good result right now for the Hungarians. As Welch is battling, and Tarabukin are battling with Tsvetkov and Lim here. So the Russians trying to get themselves a couple of positions up the order. And there's a lot of carnage going on. It really seems like the drivers are trying to sort themselves out. A 5-lap race, I mean, it's not that fast. And if you start from way down the order, like Louis Welch did, from 14th and last, you know, you're going to have to make a lot of work happen to get up the order. Lim retires from the session, so he will start most likely in last. If Alves does actually continue, he will be going into the pit lane, but we'll see how much he continues. Maybe just enough to get past Lim and then retire. We'll see about that. But yeah, we have a lot going on here. We see Baena is getting really close to Santos over P3 here. And Santos has a penalty already. So there's an opportunity there for Ika Baena to get a position and get himself onto the second row of the grid.
Yeah, absolutely. As more battling going further back down the order, the Hungarian driver of Bial on the back of Quesada. He's right on the rear of that Alfa Romeo car through the second sector. No DRS this time. By next lap, they will get to use it as we just head on to this straightaway here. The Racing Point car hounding at the rear, jumping at the bit to get this position. Everything does matter. It's only 5 laps around this circuit, so they cannot afford to wait. As I believe Pfefferman actually going past Jong as well at the back of the grid. So they're all moving about, chopping and changing, but it's been Louis Welch to make up 7 positions in this race. He's just got really lucky with avoiding all of the carnage that took place, but he's done really well to overtake these guys as well. Certainly I have seen him make some on-track overtakes. He'll be hunting down the Racing Point and the 2 Alfa Romeos in front of him, possibly try and get close to his teammate, who's already pulled a second to his rival with DRS now enabled.
Yeah, DRS will be enabled really at the first detection point, which has already happened. The first detection point is pretty much right after we see the start-finish line. So first DRS zone is the first DRS zone here on this track. It is the very first one on the main straight. And Dylan Warren able to dispatch of the Hungarian driver of Selle here over the lead. And we see here Louis Welch trying to get closer, but he's not there just yet. Remember, it's only 5 laps. This is only for qualifying. This is basically the sprint qualifying of F1 that we're going to see later this season in real life. This is just a little toned down version of that. Or maybe it's cranked up to 11. You decide, because this is quite a bit of action here going on. and Louis Welch trying to get closer. Quesada, however, seems to be able to put his teammate Baena a bit under pressure here. Baena himself is getting really close to Santos, and Sella is back within a second of Dylan Warren. Maybe he can come up with some kind of attack on the final lap of the race here.
Absolutely, at a track like Russia, it's very important to keep DRS to the cars in front of you. The top two there in a breakaway train of their own. There's a long way back to Santos behind, and then that is leading down from Baena, then Quesada, and really where all the train comes together. We could see some moves in towards turn number 2 here for a potential of a P3. No points awarded for this race, but positions in the starting grid mean everything is there. Looking up the inside, not quite being able to go past the Red Bull car is Baena, just getting right up to his rear. Only about 3/10 in it between the pair of them, so really closely contested stuff as Louis Welch trying to make a move on the back of Bial in towards turn number 4. Cannot make it stick. What about into the second sector now? He's right up to his rear looking for a move. He almost scrapes the wall. He's lucky to get away with no damage in that affair there, but a slight brush, it's not going to do him too much harm. He's just having to stick back behind, and I think maybe once the DRS comes back into effect, he can try and go for a move, but in this DRS train, it's going to be so difficult to make that one work.
Yeah, it's so difficult. Once you are in this DRS train, you have to get creative. If you know you have some kind of advantage somewhere, then you have to get creative, and Welch looking here to maybe get something going into the heavy braking zone here into the final sector. Doesn't look like it. Now he's opening himself up to an attack from Tarabukin right behind. Tarabukin had a little look there. He was fancying that one, but Welch carried enough speed through the corner there, through that left-hander, to just about hold him off. But yeah, this is the danger. You want to set yourself up potentially for a better run out of a corner. Well, you do that. You open up the inside for another car to shoot into and potentially take that position off you. So it's really a double-edged sword here for Louis Welch. He has to look in front, but he also has to look behind. And now we see here everyone just going, and there goes Tarabukin on Welch. That was a bit too hopeful, I guess. And he just goes to the inside there, did not have the space there, did not have the nose enough alongside. Welch closes the door on him, shuts the door in his face, and that is Tarabukin almost around, losing a position to Goetze, who's now up to 8th in the Renault.
Yeah, Goetze was able to get past both of the Russian drivers, so it's really good for the German team. They're going to be starting up higher than they would have been expecting, but the final lap is upon us. Dylan Warren, he's been able to pull out his gap to the driver behind, so he's looking uncontested to take the win here and be on pole. I don't know if we'll see any moves further back behind. Quesada is close to the back of his teammate. That won't benefit the Spanish nation at all. What about Bial onto the final sector of the track? He just does not seem close enough. Going for a Hail Mary dive bomb is not going to work out, but at the sharp end of the field, Dylan Warren, he's led from the very beginning in towards turn number 2, and now at the final corner, he'll be on pole for the 25% race, sliding it right across the line, Tokyo drift style, as Cell right behind him in third, as in second, Baena taking third, fourth for Quesada, then Bial in fifth. Santos, after he unfortunately has taken a 3-second time penalty in this race, he'll be starting way down in sixth, which is of course not where he finished on circuit. Louis Welch missing out on that position by just over 1/10 of a second. Goetze in 8th, then the two Russians filling out the 5th row of the grid, Tarabukin and Tvetkov in 9th and 10th, Pfefferman in 11th, then Jong in 12th. Alves, after he got damage early on, he's starting 13th and retiring on lap number 1 in the pits. It's Lim starting right at the back in 14th.
Yeah, that will be our grid for the 25% race around Russia. That will ultimately determine the points. This one here, the sprint race, to determine the qualifying order, and we have just done that as we're waiting for Alves to come across the line, which he should any moment now, and he just did. Perfect timing right there. And Dylan Warren securing himself pole position here for Team UK. P1, P7 for them. Pretty good situation. And Louis Welch getting driver of the day with a very aggressive looking Brendan Lee, I have to say. But that should be doing well for the Team UK, as a 25% race will give them more opportunity to work their way down through the field. especially obviously for Louis Welch, P7. He's still got 6 cars in front of him. For Dylan Warren, he will just try to drive away, as we saw him do in this 5-lap sprint race. So here, once again, is the final qualifying result of the 5-lap sprint race. Once it loads, it's going to take a second there for us to do. And yeah, it's going to take a very long second indeed. Very surprising there. Not so sure what's going on. I think something isn't right now. Oh, never mind. We don't even get to see it apparently. So, yep, we're back to the lobby. But let us quickly wait until the 25% race has been set up, because the custom grid has to be entered now. And we will be right back after a couple of words from our sponsors.
It's time now. Your blood is burning. Your stamina is rising. Greet all the challenges in your way.
What will you like today? Another Cloud 2 Classic?
I'll stick with the usual. Maybe take a little bit off the sides.
Oh, that's fresh.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
Hey, watch your head.
And we are back. The drivers are getting ready for the 25% race of round 1 at Russia. We just had the 5-lapper to determine the grid order. Now it is time for the first race to actually hand out some points. Let's... Oh, someone just changed the track to Singapore. Interesting, that one. I think we have possibly some issues in the lobby with... Oh yeah, two of the organizers holding up the lobby right now because there's something going on. I think maybe they're not done with the custom grid. But either way, 25% race is awaiting us at Russia at the Sochi Autodrome, and it is, I gotta say, personally to me, it is one of my favorite tracks, and I know a lot of people dislike it, but I find that track pretty fun. What we're going to see here is 14 laps. What we're also going to see is soft tires that are about 1.3 seconds quicker than the mediums. And the soft tires will be able to last the whole race, but the drivers are required, of course, to use 2 different compounds. So I think we will see a long stint on the softs and then a much shorter stint on the mediums. Maybe a lot of drivers, in fact, likely a lot of drivers will start on the medium compound tire for the simple reason that they can then switch onto the softs and use them longer and get an undercut as well. So I think that's how it's going to work out for most of these drivers. The hard tire will not be used whatsoever. In fact, we won't even get to see softs or mediums. You might hear it a little bit in the background. From the game audio. It is raining. It is heavy rain. Don't know if it's going to be intermediate to full wets, but certainly we are not going to see any dry running, it seems, considering how dark it is, how gray it is. And we'll show you in just a second. Let's quickly, once again, because we scuffed it a little bit in the first run, show you who is participating. For Team Brazil, we have Alexander Alves and Giovanni Santos. For Germany, it's Lennart Götze and Miguel Pfeffermann. For Team Hungary, we have Zsolt Bial and Christoph Selle. For Korea, Seung-chan Lim and Seong-hyun Lee. Russia is participating with Vadim Tsvetkov and Andrei Terabukin. Spain brings Iker Baena and Sergei Quesada. And the UK with pole sitter Dylan Warren and Louis Welch. So as the drivers are readying up right now, logging in their setups for the wet, they have, of course, no Parc Ferme because the lobby was completely reset. So this is going to be interesting, this one. Who will be a good driver in the rain? That is the question that we will get an answer to, I think, over the course of this race. Question is as well, will we get a formation lap? I think we will, as the drivers are on the grid right now. So let's jump in very quickly and see the tires. And yeah, let's see what is going on. You can hear it already. Here we are for the event, for the race. 13 laps, not 14. Apologies, I did a slight miscalculation there. 13 laps it is, in fact. And Dylan Warren on pole position and everyone on full wet tires that will make it throughout the whole race. So there's no pit stops that are going to be required unless the conditions change.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a high chance when it is starting in a full wet race and the drivers, they lay down a bit of rubber and they form a dry line, then you do typically see some intermediate running, but you can just see throughout the entire track there is a glorious sheen, a bit of a reflection of the track. It's almost parallel to how everything is, so it is completely soaked over, but you'll see where the drivers put their time marks. Even if you go right to the back of the grid, you can see where everyone has driven, so this will form a dry line and there will be more grip as the race goes on. It's also going to be interesting to see how these guys actually cope in the wet. It's a completely different ball game to the dry conditions, and drivers tend to do kind of the opposite in the wet conditions as they do in the dry. So there's a Haas car actually spun at the back. That was Jong around there. So not a really good omen for him in this race. Spinning on the formation lap as he gets another big tank slapper there, just trying to get the power on early. Doesn't seem like a good sign for him.
Yeah, certainly doesn't. The good news for him is there is no damage on the formation lap anyway, so he can just still drive to the grid and have no damage on the front wing or anything. So it will be fine in that regard. I think what we're going to have to look out for sure is the top 3 teams, I would say, at this point, looking at the grid, which are, of course, the UK, Hungary, and Spain. Pretty much in a sandwich. If it wasn't for Santos in P6, I think it would be a perfect sandwich right there. You'd have Spain in the middle, Hungary sort of in between, and then the UK sort of making the bread on the outside.
I'd certainly like to have a slice out of that sandwich, because we're going to see a brilliant race from these guys today. Warren on pole and Sazel in second, as the lights are coming on here in Russia. The rain-soaked Sochi Autodromo. The 5 red lights are on. And we are not underway. There we are. Now we are going, as it looks like it's been a good start from Dylan Warren, covering off the Hungarian driver in towards turn number 1. Then the 2 Alfa Romeo cars following in suit behind. Look at Louis Welch with the traction. Oh, it's been a crash between the pair of them. Louis Welch spun right around the circuit. I believe Baenya's got a heavy amount of weight damage, and already in towards the first into the first braking.
Oh, there's more damage.
There's been a safety car.
Santos with a penalty for making contact with Quesada there, as they were sorting each other out on the exit of turn 2. And yeah, Louis Welch, I think we saw it there on screen pretty clearly. He was trying to get a move on one of the Alfa Romeos. I think that was either Baenya or Quesada. I think it must have been Baenya, because he lost a bunch of positions there as well. And Louis tried to get the position there, and they just tangled up the contact model of the game, doing a lack of work there once more. And Louis now on the back of the grid. The good news is he can pit for a new front wing, and he can get it in the pit lane and then catch back up to the grid, and he will be able to continue the race. Now, the question is, what are the other ones going to do? Who is going to pit? How many people are going to pit? Why would they? You know, who else has damage? We see Jong has no damage. Lim doesn't seem to have damage either. Let's quickly go through. Alves, that car seems fine as well. Yep, that car seems fine. Maybe there's some unseen, invisible damage that still hurts the performance of the car. Baenya has damage on the left side end plate, and I think that confirms that it was Baenya and Welch that came together there. Other than that, I don't think there's much. Tsvetkov, his car, his McLaren, has Tarabukin with a massive slide there. His McLaren seems fine. Tarabukin seems fine as well, as does Santos. And the top 4 have stayed out altogether, so they clearly seem to be fine as well. But here goes Baenya into the pit lane, and Welch will follow him in to get a completely new front wing. And let's hope they can catch back up. They should be able to. And we have a little bit of safety car running here early on in this race. So we'll get a second try at this. And hopefully this time around things will go a little bit more smoothly.
Yep, so we didn't get to the first braking zone at all without the safety car coming out. So really unfortunate that it did end up that way. Both Baenya and Welch getting wing damage. Well, I say Welch getting wing damage. He didn't have a front wing by the end of that coming together. I got a pretty good view of it between their collision. It just seemed like Welch got such a good getaway. He was able to jump about 2 or 3 drivers coming in towards turn number 1, and he tried to go to the outside line of Baenya. I don't think Baenya really expected Welch to be coming from that far back, and I just would put it down as a racing incident. I don't think either of these guys are more at fault than the other. It's just one of those things that is almost unavoidable, especially on the first lap of the Grand Prix. If it was lap 2 or 3, then maybe I I'd be a little bit more questioning towards it. But I think lap 1, these things, they do happen. What's most important for these guys, they're both able to get back running into this Grand Prix, but with those two almost out of contention of this Grand Prix, unless they can pull their weight throughout the grid, the current running order is Warren on top. He's maintained his pole position as Cell in second position as well. So those two doing pretty good. They've done their job. They've stayed in the positions. Then Kethara jumping his teammate who started in third. He's now up one position as Lim has just got back into the session. That's why we don't have any intervals anymore. But Bial in fourth, fifth for Santos, who already has a time penalty as well, 5 seconds, which he can serve in the pit lane, or he could just have it added on to his race time. But how about the start from the two Russian drivers, Tarabukin and Svetkov, both of them making up 3 positions each, 6th and 7th for the pair of them, starting 9th and 10th. It's been really great from the pair of them. They both managed to get past Goetze, who is in 8th position. He maintains position. Then Pfefferman in 9th, Alves in 10th, and Lim in 11th, and Jong, who spun on the formation lap, he's managed to get through the first couple of laps here. He is in 12th, and the two drivers who, as previously mentioned, got into the collision on the first lap, Bayanya and Welch, 13th and 14th.
Yeah, and we will get one more lap under safety car, and I think at the end of lap 3, it will pull into the pit lane as Louis Welch is about to close up to the safety car queue, and then we will get back underway. So one more lap around this circuit here behind the Mercedes at the front. We can see it just there on the left side from Dylan Warren's perspective here, and that car, that Mercedes AMG, will pull into the pit lane. Of course, it is last year's safety car. This year's safety car, well, we have two, but this year's Mercedes safety car is a bit more red. But this one still with the old, historic almost at this point, silver and the rainbow on the side as well. So that one will pull into the pit lane at the end of this lap. We should get the notification at some point at the end of the second sector, which is going to be within the next or after the next 2 corners. So we have this left-hander here, then the right-hander, and after that we have the long back straight, at which point we should get the notification right at the end of that. That's where the second sector split is counted around this track. So a couple of seconds left until we get that message. And, well, where's it? There it is. Wonderful. Perfect timing. It's a couple seconds early, but yeah, there it is. And now Dylan Warren is in charge. The safety car is driving off as quickly as it can into the pit lane. Dylan Warren is in charge. He's supposed to slow down the grid a little bit. And at this point, we will see it all bunch up. And whenever Dylan Warren starts accelerating, that's when he has to go. He can't restart the race, then brake again, and then restart again. Once he's going, he's going. So he's taking it real slow here, trying to work his tires a little bit in this low speed. And is he going now? I think he is. Yeah, he is. And look at the gap he's pulled already. Maybe not to second. Seller was on it, but Quesada in third has been sleeping.
Yeah, he's been caught absolutely napping there as we now go green once here in the rain-soaked Russia. Bayenya already making up a position on Jong, and Jong round at the back. Luckily, he has avoided wing damage, but here is Tarabukin now on Santos, maybe Svetkov as well further back behind. Can also try and make the move on the Red Bull car, not quite, but the Russian driver, he's actually having to fend off from the driver. He's just overtaken coming in towards turn number 3, and now he's actually allowed for Svetkov to go up the inside of him through this long-winded left-hander of turn number 4 in towards turn number 5, who has got the braver wits, and it seems like it is Svetkov making it up into 6th position. The two Russian drivers are on form in the wet conditions, as Bayenya has unfortunately picked up a 3-second time penalty. That'll be added to his race time at the end of the Grand Prix, but Santos is seeming like he's almost about to fall further back down the order, because now he's got the two German cars of Goetze and Pfefferman on his tail through the second sector here.
Yeah, and we've seen that they have a little bit of pace. Santos was holding up the whole pack, if you remember, in the 5-lap race, in the qualifying race. So I wouldn't be surprised if Götze and Pfefferman are able to make that move happen on Santos here. They're trying, it seems like Götze at least is trying into the heavy braking zone here. Is he going to look for it? No, he's just a bit too far away. Doesn't fancy the move just yet, but there's still a lot left in this race. A lot more laps. Once they finish this one, 9 more laps to go. And Götze is looking feisty here. He wants this position off of Santos, and oh, he's getting oh so close. We have a yellow flag in sector 3. I think that is Baenya indeed. Oh no, he's got massive damage. He's spun around. Oh my, what's going to happen here? What is he doing? Is he going to cause another safety car? I don't think so. Everyone has passed him, so at this point he shouldn't be able to cause a safety car as he gets going again. My goodness. Poor Ike Baenya. Poor Spain. At least they have still Quesada in third as we look at Götze looking at the rear of the Brazilian driver of Santos in P7 in front of him. The Russians have already put a second between each other and almost a second between themselves and Santos. That is the gap between Cvetkov and Santos is about 3/4 of a second at this point. And oh, there's a massive crash in the background. That is Lim. That is Lim into the wall. And it's a surprise to me that that car is still driving after that impact. Another safety car. And I think that's just for the debris. And that impact there by Lim, surprising that he is not out of the race. But that allows Baenya to catch back up again. And Welch is already back up to 10th place already after the first lap incident with Baenya.
Yeah, really unfortunate that Lim has picked up this huge amount of damage, completely wiping out his front wing there. Safety car once again out on circuit, and I wonder if drivers will actually try and gamble for a set of possibly the intermediate tyres. From the beginning of the Grand Prix, the rain has been easing up, and it is looking like it is a lot less heavy than it was at the very start of the race. So I wonder if some of these drivers are going to possibly opt to gamble onto a set of intermediates, given that we're at least 2 laps on the safety car here, and I do believe that that will be the case. Dylan Warland pulling off to the right-hand side. He'll be coming into the pit lane, presumably for a set of the intermediate tyres, and he might actually be the only driver. Bial in as Tarabukin has gone into the back of him, but I don't think there's any wing damage, and oh, this is really terrible. Both of them have got time penalties, and Cvetkov has also boxed in right behind his teammate here. He's going to be held in the pit lane. I do actually believe this will hold up the Red Bull car as well of Santos, because he won't be able to get out here. He's serving a 5-second time penalty, but now all the drivers serving their pit stops, they didn't have to make one, but they are going on to a set of the intermediate tyres. Warren from Bial, then Tarabukin. Louis Welch has also boxed into the pit lane. We'll see if he'll be able to make up any positions. He indeed has. He's been able to jump both Cvetkov and Santos in this race. So Welch, he's making a bit of a comeback drive, because now he is in a net P4 if all the other drivers come into the pit lane, which I would assume that they would do to make a stop for the intermediate tyres. I just think that that was the right time to do it. And under the safety car here, they're not losing out on any track position. Well, they are losing out on track position, but they're not giving up much time at the end of the day. So I think this was a smart play from the intermediate runners here.
Yeah, I think so too. It seems like the track is clearly drying up. You can see a drier line. Maybe it's not a dry line, but it certainly is a drier line on the racing line there that we see here with Dylan Warren as he's catching up to the top 4. And yeah, the question is, do the top 4 come in or do they not? Very interesting for sure. I gotta say, if there's ever been a case to be made for the mantra of never giving up, never quitting, never surrendering, I think Louis Welch is showing exactly that. He is 9th right now, but he was 14th, and based on the tires, he's in a net P4 right now. On fresher intermediates that are better suited to these conditions as well, that should provide more grip in both ways. That should be a fantastic drive there from all of the drivers that are on the intermediates now. And yes, this is a qualifying event to determine the 11th nation in the Nations Cup, the reserve nation. As now we see, look at this, the top 4 all coming into the pit lane. That means both German... No, actually, not all of them. Pfefferman stays out because he sees his teammate right in front of him going in, so he had to stay out. He had no opportunity there to come in, so he had to stay out and bite the bullet, really. And yeah, that's going to be a bit of an issue. Jong, meanwhile, also stayed out. That to me is surprising because Lim was already in. So very surprising that Jong decides to just continue on these full wet tires. They will at this point probably be around a second or two slower than the intermediates per lap, that is. So I don't think he'll have much of a fighting chance to hold on to that third place.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what his thinking is around here, because it certainly looks like intermediate conditions compared to the beginning of the race. It was a lot heavier, and now it is not dried up. There is still a considerable amount of rain on the circuit, and of course it is still tipping it down here in the Sochi Autodromo, but he certainly should have come into the pit. Now, I do understand Pfefferman, but he wouldn't be losing out on much anyways, because well, it would have only been about one position to Quesada in behind. They'd have been, what, they'd have been 11th and 13th at the end of it. So I do think he probably should have come into the pits. Double stacking under the safety car when you're losing a number of positions anyways doesn't seem like the worst thing in the world, but he now kind of just has to commit to this. I wouldn't assume that we're actually going to be going green flag racing, because Baena hasn't caught up at all. He's just completing the first sector here. He's the only driver that's not up to the back of the grid. We'll really see if we do actually get to go racing once again at the end of this straight, where they're just coming down in towards the chicane. And there it is, actually, safety car in this lap, and Pfefferman almost overtaking the safety car there, but he has just about stayed behind, and it is now his discretion. He controls the start, and he will get to decide when and where they go. Dylan Warren is going to be chomping at the bit right behind him. He's going to be trying to, as early as possible, get the move on the German driver in the Renault car, and it is just a matter of when through this chicane, which is normally pretty difficult in the drive to actually maintain grip and take it quickly. When is Pfefferman going to go here? Hey, seems like he's going to go. No. He went almost full throttle, but then he backed out of it. So I'm a bit confused what he was doing there. But now through the penultimate corner and up towards the final corner, now he surely is at full throttle, and he will be going right at the restart. Is Dylan Warren going to be able to jump him in towards the first couple of corners? And you'd expect that to be the case. But Pfefferman defending to the inside line, moves almost being made further back behind as they're all bunched up. Once again, we're back underway, racing on lap number 8 here, as the train Jong has been completely dropped by the top two, and you can see the difference in grip that Dylan Warren has on Pfefferman in front of him. Pfefferman running a lot wider over the line. Dylan can find the grip on the inside to possibly try and attack in towards turn number 5. He's not close enough this time by Pfefferman, doing a very supreme job on the set of the full wets as Jong losing positions. He's gone right off the circuit, almost hitting the wall, and now he's got to rejoin in a pretty awkward position. He's managed to hold on to that one. There's Welch going up the inside of Tara Buchan. He's into P4. What a recovery drive we've seen from him today.
Yeah, what a drive from him. Net P4, now in P4. And once I think the leaders start to dispatch of Pfefferman, who is still doing a pretty good job of holding on with these full wet tires. Really remarkable there, but I think Dylan Warren might be able to get him now down this back straight. Maybe not yet. Certainly a pretty good job from Pfefferman, I have to say. I did not expect him to hold on to this for that long, but here he goes. No, Warren not there just yet. Maybe we underestimated the full wet tires. Oh, there we go, though. On the inside, he is there now, and he gets the position off the line and into the braking zone already. That is a fantastic overtake from Dylan Warren. Back up into the lead, I should say. Bial should be the next one to put Pfefferman under a bit of pressure. And in fact, Louis Welch right behind him here might put Bial under pressure. Bial is going to have to split his eyes. One in front, one to the mirrors. And Louis Welch is all over him, but he is all over Pfefferman here. Down the main straight into turn 2. He's using his overtake mode. Is he going to go for it here? No, not quite. Not quite. Has to be careful there. But this might be an overtaking opportunity here around the left-hander of turn 4. And in fact, Welch uses it as an opportunity. It goes past both of them. Are you kidding me? He's alongside Pfefferman, shoves him wide a little bit, but he has the position. Louis Welch up into second, making it a UK 1-2.
Brilliant stuff from Louis Welch there to take advantage of the weakened Bial, who tried to go for the move on Pfefferman. It did not work out in the end, and Louis Welch, he was just there to absolutely steal it. The crook himself, the British bandit, he's now into P2 behind his teammate by about 2.1 seconds. So UK 1-2, it's looking brilliant for their race today. They could be reserving for the main event if it does go their way for the rest of the races in this evening. Pfefferman, he's continuing to lose time, and Tarabucan could be the next one to pip him off in towards the chicane at the end of the second sector. Job done for the Russian driver. Santos could also be here to potentially try and make a move stick. He's got Svetkov right behind him as well, and towards the third sector as he's almost into the back of him. There goes Santos up the inside of Pfefferman. Pfefferman holding him off on the inside line. Here comes Svetkov now, making a switch back. They're three abreast coming in towards the final part of the lap, and immediately Svetkov moving back up ahead. Santos not able to make the move on Pfefferman. We begin lap number 10 here. The rain still pelting it down. Dylan Warren setting the fastest lap of the 1-2, and it seems like a dynasty has been established for the British drivers.
Yeah, but we have to keep in mind that the next race will be a reverse grid race. So, yeah, it's a 1-2 for them now, as there goes Santos side by side, and Pfefferman gets pushed off the track a little bit there. So, very, very close battling. But, yeah, 1-2 right now, but that will turn into a 13-14. Oh, there goes Alves on Pfefferman. And they touch him. Alves spins. Alves spins. And he is around and hits the wall. Loses some front wing. Loses the Mobile 1 end plate there on the wall. And Alves down to 13th. Yeah. And now gets a past Pfefferman. I think that was very amicable there. Pfefferman just letting him by, knowing he doesn't have much to fight with. There goes Selle past Pfefferman. And, just off the track there. He's still battling. He's still fighting. There goes Lim around the outside. He was looking at least, but he's not able to get it done just yet. And there we go. They touch. And now Lim alongside. He is past, it seems, but can he have it into the braking zone? I think he will. Going the long way around. And he's got him. Pfefferman down to 11th in the span of 2 laps. It feels like 1 lap, but I think it was about 2 laps. Yeah, let's quickly look at the penalties. Meanwhile, we have 5 seconds for both Bial and Tarabucan, 6 seconds for Lim, and 3 seconds for Baenya. That is the current situation. And if we then quickly look at the gaps to leader, then we see that Bial would currently drop down behind Santos, which would turn out to be a P5. Tarabucan would fall down behind Götze. That would be a P8. Lim would fall down behind Baenya. Baenya would even gain a position despite the penalty, as Welch goes for the move here on Warren. That's the worst camera angle we could have gotten. So they switch around, and Welch now in the lead, Warren second. And what a story that would be after all the drama they've gone through in the qualifier event, in the first qualifier event, where they were participating with Tom Martinez, Tom97 HD, and Dylan Warren had a disconnect, couldn't get back into the lobby. The incidents they had. It was a team that was one of the favorites to qualify for the Nations Cup, and it just didn't come to fruition because of the bad luck they had. They were... For lack of a better comparison, they were the Team France of the qualifying event. Team France, notoriously bad luck in this Nations Cup event so far, and Team UK have had that in the qualifier. They just passed it on, I think, to the French for the main event, but maybe they can at the very least be the reserve nation, the 11th team that can step in case another team might pull out, might be unavailable. They could be that 11th team. And what a team that would be. Louis Welch and Dylan Warren.
Absolutely. I think it was just criminal in the first place that Louis Welch and Dylan Warren Those two really talented drivers in their own regards. I think Pfeffman pulling into the pit lane, he might have a bit of wing damage, but there was yellow flags in the final sector. But these two, the two leading this race at the moment, it's criminal that they weren't in the tournament in the first place. They weren't able to get through to the qualifiers, but this has finally been their opportunity. It's been a long time coming for them. They're beginning lap number 12 of 13 here. They've got to go around 2 more tours, but it could all be spoiled by Bial, who's been catching Dylan Warren for a number of laps here. Bial does have a time penalty to his name, a 5-second one at that. That could also get removed because it was actually Tarabucan going into the back of him into the pit lane. So I don't feel that was really fair on Bial to actually pick up that penalty. So possibly Warren, he'll be on a bit more of an alert phase than he would be if that was a tried and true time penalty. He's just got to fight with all his might. As a big slide out of the corner for Bial. He seems like he's lost quite a bit of time to Dylan Warren in front of him. He's just not managed to overtake there. Yeah, he's losing time now. He's 1.1 seconds back. If we were in dry conditions, then that would be him out of the DRS Rangers. Not too much going on at the moment. Jong has managed to get past Alves. I'm not too sure how or why, but Alves has a big front wing damage, and it's just been a disastrous race for him all around, crashing out in the qualifying race and unfortunately getting big wing damage, finishing in at least 13th here. Could be even worse because Pfeffman's right behind him on a fresh set of intermediates.
Now, meanwhile, Quesada is all over the back of Santos here, trying to get 6th place, at least on track, as Quesada, of course, has himself a 3-second time penalty now, where Santos has stayed penalty-free, but certainly an opportunity here for Quesada to at least get something on track and maybe potentially get a 3-second time penalty removed if he feels like he was, for example, pushed off the track and got a warning for that. Then he might be able to get that removed and get that position, if he can get the position on track. But he would have to get the position on track on Santos. As we have a yellow flag in Sector 1, I think that is Baena? Pretty sure that is Baena. Turn 2. Alves retires in the pit lane, I think. That is his race over and done with. We go further up the road. We look again at Quesada, who is putting some pressure on the final lap here on Santos. Can he make it happen? He's a bit too far away at this point, I reckon. This would have been his chance, but it wasn't. Maybe Götze might actually get him now, but he's too far away as well, as Louis Welch is coming through the final sector to take the victory for Team UK in the first of 3 races. But remember, Team UK will start 13th and 14th in the second race. Reverse grid. Hungary will have Bial in 12th and Selle in 6th. But here comes Louis Welch.
Absolutely, Louis Welch through the final corner now. He takes the win after crashing on the first lap, and it is a 1-2 for the British outfit. Bial was not able to overtake Dylan Warren. It is Louis Welch on top here. Dylan Warren in second, Svetkov in third after penalties have been applied for Bial and Tarabucan as well. That is, of course, pending steward's inquiry. I wouldn't be surprised if Bial wants to report that one there. Santos in 5th position, a really good performance from him. Götze making up 2 positions in this Grand Prix into 6th. Then Tarabucan, of course, dropping down with his penalty as well. Quesada only in 8th, 9th for Stazel. It has been really unfortunate for both of the Spanish drivers and this one Hungarian driver to drop as far down the order as they did. I think the pit stops really did ruin their races over. They probably could have came into the pit lane when they did. Lim in 10th and Baena in 11th, 12th for Pfeffman, and Jong is your last of your finishers in 13th position. Alves not finishing in 14th. I actually think Jong's, he spun through the final corner. He's got a big amount of wing damage. It's been a race to forget for the Korean driver, but he will be starting at the sharp end of the grid in the next Grand Prix because we head to Abu Dhabi for the reverse grid race.
Yeah, and that's going to be an interesting one for sure. With UK starting in the last row and having the order just so reversed as we see here. Louis Welch as Brendan Lee, just with the dance moves pulling him out, pulling out all the stops as well. from last to first. He was last at one point in this race, so it is technically a last to first challenge that he has just completed here around Russia. What a drive from Lou Ultra. I think he'll be very happy with that one indeed. And there is the full result once more. Welch and Warren take a 1-2 for Team UK. Russia with a very strong results as well. They should be the #1 challengers right now to Team UK. Tsvetkov 3rd, Tarabukin 7th. Hungary, a bit of a race to forget, especially for Sele. Bial doing all right in P4. Santos 5, with his teammate Alves being 14th and only getting 2 points. Germany, also a bit of a race to forget, I hate to say it. P6 and 12, and you saw the order there. With that, let's quickly look at the format. The next round awaits us at Abu Dhabi. That race will be on in just a couple of minutes. Allow us some time to set up the lobby and set up the custom grid. And we will be right back after a couple of more words from our sponsors.
It's time now. Your blood is burning. Your stamina is rising. Greet all the challenges in your way.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Round 1 has just been completed. The Russian Grand Prix 25% race has already been made and been done. Now we are heading to Abu Dhabi for round 2, a reverse grid race 25%. And it will be Team UK that has the lead right now with 46 points. But they will also be starting from the very back. P13 and P14 for them. Let's quickly go once again through the point system. We have 25 points for the winner, 21 for second place. So 1-2 gives you exactly those 46 points. 18, 16, 14, 12, 10, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, and 2. Just disregard that 1 point at the bottom there. We have 14 drivers here participating in this event tonight. So we only go down to 14th place. But yeah. The reverse grid, you see it as well. P1 starts from P14. Once again, all of that moves up 1 spot as well. And P14, which I think will be one of the Brazilian drivers. I think Alves was the one who retired. He will be starting from pole position as the drivers are loading in. Let's quickly go through the driver lineup once more. It is Alves and Santos driving for Brazil. The German team, Lennart Götze and Miguel Pfeffermann. For Hungary, we have Zsolt Bial and Christoph Selle. For Korea, Sim Chan Lim and Seong Hyun Lee. Russia is driving with Vadim Tsvetkov and Andrei Tarabukin. Spain, Iker Baena and Sergei Quesada. And the UK, those are 1-2 from the first race. Louis Welch and Dylan Warner. We have the standings in the chat as well. So it is Team UK with 46, Russia in second with 28, so only an 18-point gap. Quite a bit it might look like, but on this point system, and considering the UK starts in 13th and 14th, it might not be that much after all. Hungary in third, 23, Brazil in fourth at 16, Germany in fifth, they are tied at 16. As the drivers are loading in, we are waiting for 2 more countries. Spain only down in 6th. They were, I think, the main favorites to challenge the UK for that top spot. They're down in 6th after a horrendous start to this event. And then Korea in P7 and currently last with 9 points. The drivers are loading in as they get ready for a pretty dry Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Hopefully the action isn't going to be as dry as the race, but obviously with it being in the United Arab Emirates, of course we wouldn't expect too much rain, but stranger things have happened around this place in real life.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever actually seen a wet Abu Dhabi Grand Prix on this game that was actually with dynamic weather. But it'll be really interesting to see if maybe that will be a thing one day. I certainly think the drivers are not going to be prepared for it. We're just waiting for them to load in. And yes, the winner goes into the main event, but as a reserve team. That is the key thing to note. The team that comes out on top from tonight, they will be taking a reserves place. So if any other team cannot make it, if they don't have sufficient drivers, or if they drop out entirely, then that team will be taking their position. Right now, as it stands, if it were to go like that, it'd be the UK. But of course, that is all subject to change, especially since Welch and Warren, they are starting right at the back of the order after their 1-2 performance. And we will just have a full comprehensive rundown of the grid order. It's going to be Lee on pole, Pfeffermann in second position, Baena in third, fourth for Lim, then Sella in fifth, Quesada in sixth, seventh for Tarabukin, Götze in eighth, ninth for Santos, Biao in 10th, Svetkov in 11th, then the 1-2 drivers from the last race, Dylan Warren and Louis Welch. Alves starting right at the back of the order, and that is because he didn't actually finish the last race. If he were to finish and be in that last place position, well, it'd be him on pole, but he's got it all to do right from the back of the order. One of the only drivers yet to finish inside the top 10 in a race, so it is very important that that is that he really does at least achieve that for the sake of his team. Currently in 4th at the moment on 16 points, but the tyres, well, most of the grid is on the set of the medium compound, aside from select 3 drivers, both of the Spaniards of Baena and Quesada, and then Lim is the last choice. He is in 4th position, starting on that set of the soft compounder tyres. So those guys have supreme grip at the beginning of the Grand Prix, but then they will die off a lot quicker than those mediums, so they'll have to pit earlier, you would expect.
Yeah, quick note on the tires. The soft tire around here lasts around 12 laps, the medium around 17. So, of course, I mean, the medium could last the whole race, but of course the drivers have to use 2 different compounds. The soft, I think if you tried, you could possibly do it. You'd have to be really careful with them, but you could. But because they have to pit, I think what we're going to see is a longer stint for all the drivers on the medium tire. And a longer stint on the soft tire rather, and a shorter stint on the medium tire. That means for the medium starters, they will try to go for the undercut as early as possible, which I think will open up around lap 4 or 5, where most of these drivers should be coming into the pit lane. And pretty clever here, I think, from Team Korea to go for the split strategy here, to have Lee starting on mediums, Lim starting on softs. That way they can, you know, adjust their strategy a little bit. But tires should not be much of an issue as the drivers take their grid slots. And we are about to get underway for round 2 of 3 here of the final 3rd qualifying event.
Absolutely. So the lights are on. The drivers build in anticipation. The crowd roars, and we are underway here. And it is looking like a good start from Fefman, already jumping Lee in towards turn number 1. Baena also looking to take advantage of the weakened hash car. There's a spinner at the back. That's Lim on the set of the soft compound of tyres. He's into the wall as now fighting for 2nd position. Lee trying to hold it back up the inside of Baena in towards the first sec split. One of the first chicanes on the circuit. It seems like Lee is just holding on out in front. Moves being made further back behind Quesada, and Guts are fighting it out for 5th on track at the moment. I do believe that has gone the way of
Warren!
more yellow
Warren
flags, and that's Dylan Warren around, and he's got wing damage as well.
Yeah, Warren has been spun. I think Quesada ran into the back of either Lim or Lee or Baena. It was either one of the Haas or the Alfa Romeos. Wasn't completely able to tell which one it was, but definitely front wing damage for Quesada on the right side end plate. He's getting shoved off here by Bial as well. Rejoins the track now. They are battling tooth and nail, really. And no, this is not a rebroadcast. We are live right now. I'll have you know. But here goes Quesada down the inside of Bial. Whoa, it's getting really, really close. Oh, and there's more. There's what is that? Louis Welch. Yes, Louis Welch has damaged both UK drivers. And there's Tara Buchan around. What is happening in this race? What is going on?
Carnage on the first lap of the Grand Prix. No safety car has been deployed as Tara Buchan has wing damage as well. He's right at the back of the order. He's about to be overtaken by Dylan Warren, as I think Alves might have wing damage. At least one of the Red Bull cars is going slowly. It seems like he's actually just feeling the pressure from Svetkov, but the first lap has been completed. Quesada into the pit lane. Louis Welch is choosing to continue on in this Grand Prix. He doesn't want to give up so easily on this set of the medium compound of tyres at this point in the race. He does have that slight bit of wing damage on the right side end, but it's going to be making things a lot more difficult for him, especially through here. He's going to have to lift off a lot more than he normally would do. As beginning lap number 2, no DRS for the time being. We have to do at least one more tour of the circuit, and then we will have the DRS running. I don't think Ika Baena will care, because he is now onto the back of Fefman in towards the turn 8 chicane. And he's not close enough this time to go for the move, but potentially in towards turn 11, he can opt for the overtake. You can see he rides the curb a lot more, and that might have actually killed his exit ever so slightly, utilizing his ERS down the straightaway. He's only got 20% left in that Alfa Romeo car, and he might have used it all up a bit too early, because he was not able to get past the Renault car.
Yeah, he's not there just yet, but he has the tires to do so. He just needs to find a way past, and it's not there yet. Maybe here through this double right-hander, he's taking a different line, but he's a bit too far away. You would think that maybe with the soft tires, you have to get a little bit aggressive, but also creative here. As we're waiting. Oh, this is a horrible camera angle. There we go. There they're coming into the frame. I was expecting them to come from the other side. I thought the camera was placed a different way. But here they are, BenQ still. Oh, BenQ with a massive slide there on corner exit. Does well to hold the car there, as Lim is the first one to get on the penalty board. Lee follows him, so both Koreans with penalties already, and everyone else still running here. Let's bring up the gap very quickly. BenQ, as Warren goes past Svetkov, and Alves is actually around, it seems. Where is Alves? Oh, he's starting again. Oh, I think he lost it through turn 2.
Yeah, I'm not too sure how he got that wing damage there. He's got that on the left side, but that's the inside is on the right for that corner. As BenQ getting the move on Pfeffman with the DRS. That has worked out a treat for him, but possibly Pfeffman could come back at him in towards turn number 11. Lee also behind, feeling pressure from Cezella as he comes down the straightaway. No DRS for the Haas car, the Korean driver. He might be losing out to the Hungarian racer to the outside line in towards.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it seems like we are back. Apologies for the issues right there, but I think we are going once more. Yeah, big apologies. I don't know what exactly was going on there, but yeah, my streaming software just completely cut out on me. It just completely disconnected. We are now back in lap 8 out of 14. I hope that is right, because some of the graphics might not be completely accurate, and yes, we are in fact back, thank goodness. So everything is working again. I had to completely restart my PC in order for this to work, so it took a couple of minutes for us, but we are back now. We are back into the session, and we are back with Bial leading the race right now. Let's quickly look at the stops. Yeah, that's why Bial is leading, the only one not to pit. So Ika Baena is actually the leader of the race, ahead of Pfefferman, who is in a fantastic net second. Sella in third, Warren fourth, Goetze fifth. Where's Bial going to come out? There he is in the pit lane, and of course, after this little incident right there, I'm of course not alone. Alongside me, still Dan V8 Field. Dad, are you back?
I am indeed here still. Yeah, I've been able to stay in the lobby and just see what has gone on throughout it. As always, a yellow flag at the back of the order. That is Tarabukin around, and he's into the pit lane anyways, but that is not really going to be helping him, as just to add to his troubles, he's got a 5-second time penalty. But Cezella, he's come into third position here. He's right up to the rear of Pfefferman coming down the straightaway. Pfefferman without DRS on the car in front. Here comes the Hungarian racer onto the back of the Renault car in towards the chicane, and that is the move made for him, unless Pfeffman fights this one back. And no, he moves across the racing line, does Sella, and he has made that one stick. Now he's got 1.2 seconds to the back of BenQ. The difference between the pair of them at the moment is the tyres that they are on. BenQ on the set of the mediums and the quicker softs on board the Hungarian racer, so you'd have to expect him to be right on his tail for the majority of these laps, and possibly fighting for the lead, as Lee and Bial fighting out. Bial just coming out the pit lane. He is just about 1.1 seconds off the back of Goetze, and then a further 0.3 off of Warren. Warren made an undercut strategy, and he is in P4 after spinning on lap number 1. He's done really well for himself, but the running order on lap number 9, about to begin lap 10, is BenQ, Cezella, Pfefferman, Warren, and Goetze. That's your top 5 here in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, and Bial all over the back of Goetze. Not yet, but he will be for sure. I think one thing we can say, ideally correct me there, with the, like, how old are the tires? Let's just quickly say, how old are the tires for Goetze on your screen? What does it say?
They're 1 lap old for
okay,
me.
No,
and then,
okay, yeah, good. So it seems like everything is accurate here. For Louis Welch, 5 laps, so he was the first one to pit, wasn't he? Well, the first one was Quesada, I think, with the damage that he had, but Welch came in, it seems like at the end of lap 5, huh? Very early on, or even lap 4.
Yeah, and I do think that both of the Williams cars did have to get their wing damage replaced, as here comes Goetze onto the back of Dylan Warren in towards turn number 8. This might be a little bit more difficult for the German driver. Dan Cezella had it on his teammate, and now Dylan Warren going to be able to come back at him with DRS in towards turn number 11.
But there's Bial.
Oh, Bial is actually attacking him to the outside line. He's gone for that move really aggressively. There's contact between the pair of them into the braking zone. Is Dylan Warren going to try and fight this one out? They're still wheel to wheel. Dylan Warren, he has to back out in the end, and I think his tyres already are starting to show their age.
Yeah, one thing to note here around this track is the tires, the soft tires especially, can be potentially quite prone to overheating. Really depends obviously on the driver's style, but there is certainly a possibility that maybe he has overheated those tires already. Maybe all the battling he has done with Götze and Bial has taken its toll on those tires, and Dylan Warren seems to struggle quite significantly here around this track.
Absolutely, at the back of the order, Svetkov has had an incident, and now himself and his teammate running 11th and 12th. It's been a bit of a disastrous race for the Russian team after such a strong performance in Russia in their home race, as it seems like Bial is onto the back of Götze, and Cezella is also onto the back of Baenya. So the two Hungarian drivers could be making their moves very in quick succession here. Off the exit, Cezella onto the back of Baenya in towards turn number 8. I don't think he wants to commit this time by, because he is he's actually closing at a rate of knots. He's just not using any of his overtake. Is he going to go late on the brakes in towards the corner? He hangs back for the time being. What about Bial further back behind? Move made before the corner even comes. He is now into 4th position. Cezella though on the exit. This is going to be his opportunity to go for the lead in towards turn number 11 to the outside line. He pulls. Has he made this move stick on Baenya? And indeed he has. Those soft tires, he is they are in such a good condition at the moment. He has moved into the lead of this race, and his teammate also could be on for a podium at the end of this one. The Hungarian team coming up strong.
Yeah, they need that after the first race. They really need that. They've had 23 points there. Pretty good result overall for them, but they need a bit more here because they are also 23 points behind Team UK. And with the issues that we see here with Dylan Warren and Louis Welch, I think a 1-4 would do wonders for them to bring themselves back into the fight with Team UK and potentially have a second Hungarian team be the reserve team for the Nations Cup. Just imagine what would happen if there was no Hungarian team. The Hungarian fans are so numerous every time we do the Nations Cup, and I think in large part obviously due to our partners of FuturEsports, who have a massive fan base there over in Hungary, and of course in large part as well due to Danny Berezne, one of the participants of the ORL FuturEsports Next Level Racing Nations Cup by Mobiuz Gaming, who is a very well-known F1 esports driver and a very talented one as well. But Stella here, he's making sure that the Hungarians stay in there, and Bial actually goes for the move on Pfefferman, and that is for P3. That would be a double podium for the Hungarians here, with only Baeda splitting the two.
Yeah, and Götze going for the move on his teammate Pfeffman, losing a number of positions now. He's lost 2 in quick succession. Dylan Warren is a little bit too far back to potentially capitalise on the weakened German car, but he is still just right behind him. He still could pounce. These guys similar levels of tyre wear for only 1 lap between them at this point. 4 laps age Pfefferman's tyres, and then Dylan Warren, he's been on that set for 5 laps, more than anyone else around him aside from Louis Welch, who's a little bit of a ways further back. Beginning lap number 13, Zella's just got to bring it 2 more times across the final sectors. 2 more laps left to go in this race. Lap 13's just begun. The train is growing behind Götze, so it seems like they're actually losing a bit of time. Is Pfefferman to his teammate, so he could be struggling in this one, as Dylan Warren, he's closing up very quickly to the back of the Renault car. He's about 3/10 off of the rear, and also they're pretty similar levels in ERS, both of them sub 20%. Can he go for the move though in towards turn number 8?
Yeah, the question for me right now is, can Bial potentially even challenge Baenya for a 2nd place and really secure the full 46 for Team Hungary? He's on the better tires, he's on the fresher tires and the softer tires, but it seems like Baenya is just too strong, and the DRS certainly helps him. The DRS that he gets off of Sella here, it might even be that Baenya can potentially fight back at the end of the race to completely deny the Hungarian team the victory altogether. We will see how that goes, as there goes Dylan Warren on Pfefferman. into the triple chicane, round the outside, and gets the move done. Past Pfefferman, splits the Germans now. Dylan Ward up to 5th, and Lee is looking very, very feisty as well. Trying to get another position here off the German, who used to lead this race.
Absolutely. It was a brilliant move from Dylan Warren there. Clean as a whistle, sweet as a nut, and he's up into P5, starting right down the order in... How has Lee done that? He's been disqualified from the Grand Prix. That must have been for too many penalties.
Yep, it was. Baenya! Baenya got a 3-second time penalty, and that on the final lap of the race. That could bring Bial up to a 2nd place. That could be a Hungarian 1-2 right there. If Selle and Bial both just stay penalty free and Bial does not let Götze pass, then we could see a Hungarian 1-2 in the 2nd race after a UK 1-2 in the 1st. So this is going to be very, very interesting. And I'm very much looking forward to our guys behind the scenes crunching the numbers on who would be, as Baenya goes for the lead on track. They don't mind. The Hungarians don't mind. I think Selle says, hey, you go. You have a penalty. We don't mind. Take that spot. As, Selle, no, he wants it back. Goes to the inside. And I think there's contact. Selle had to pull out of that one. Oh, that was really, really close there. Baenya goes for the move and for the lead and goes wide there. Oh, my. But it will be Selle. Yeah, look at Bial. He's getting so close now to these top 2 here that are battling so hard. Baenya leading, but I don't think he will get that win on penalties. He will fall down. We can just quickly show the detail here. 3 seconds on penalties for him. He will come across the line to take the checkered flag, but he will not take the victory. That will be Selle and Bial in 2nd, a Hungarian 1-2. And that is going to be interesting in the standings. Baenya does get 3rd. Götze 4, Warren 5, Pfefferman 6. Good result for the Germans, all in all. Santos 7, Welch 8. I think the British were hoping for a bit more here than P5 and P8. Very scuffed race for them, I think. Very unfortunate race for them. Quesada in 9, Tarabuk in 10, Svetkov 11. At least that's what it seems like right now. And considering how far they are apart, don't think that penalties will change this very much. And then Alves and both Korean drivers, Lim Lee, are our retirement / disqualifications in the case of Lee for getting too many penalties.
What a performance from the Hungarian team. It's a 1-2 for the nation. What a performance from the pair of them. Well, I just quickly want to check how many positions they made up. Never mind, we've gotten all of the drivers crossed the line, but Baenya was just able to hang on to the podium, and I think he'll be very happy with that one. Bial is your driver of the day for making up the most positions out of anyone on this grid. He definitely started outside the top 10. And I'd say he's probably the highest scoring of all the drivers so far in this competition. But what a result from him. He tops the podium. And, well, the results, Selle winning this race. Bial in 2nd, Baenya in 3rd, Götze 4th. Warren, he managed to come up to 5th position. That's still pretty strong from him there. As Pfefferman in 6th, 7th for Santos, Welch in 8th, Quesada in 9th, 10th for Tarabukin. And then the last of your finishers was Svetkov. 3 retirements out of this one, but that brings us to an end of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Next, we head into Canada for the short qualifying plus 25% race.
Yeah, indeed. Let's quickly bring this up here. Short quali, 25% race. You mentioned it. Canada, the circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Very iconic track, of course. And I think a favorite of many. But with strict corner cutting being as strict as it is, that final chicane, that wall of champions, might give them more than just one trouble. Of course, if you run into the wall of champions, that's massive, but we might see quite a few penalties there. The standings, we have some guys working in the background on the standings, trying to get them to you in the chat very, very quickly. But yeah, I think we're getting a new lobby as well. Before we get the live standings, though, after the 2nd event, let's quickly take a little break. You guys can refill your drinks. You guys can get yourself some snacks, because that final race is gonna be a close one. I can promise you that. We'll be right back after a little break.
All right, I'm ready.
Let's do this.
Time to farm some dubs. Crap, I got a squad on my right.
I'm running in for backup.
Yo, Ron, he's right there in front of you.
Sorry, guys, it happened again.
Damn. This is the 10th one today.
All right, I'm back.
Someone cover me.
Yeah, I see you. You got him, you got him, you got him! Yes! Yo, that's sweet.
Yeah, it is. We about to win this.
Guys, I can get used to this.
HyperX alloy. Built strong because it has to be. It's time now. Your blood is burning. Your stamina is rising. Greet all the challenges in your way.
What sound experience would you like today?
I'll have the fantasy pack.
Good choice. And could you make it a Cloud 2 wireless? On his way, sir.
Sounds amazing.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
And we are back with the ORL Future Esports Next Level Racing Nations Cup by Mobiuz Gaming. We are waiting for round 3 of 3 of the third qualifying event. Lots of threes there, really. And we will be heading towards Canada, towards the circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal for a short qualifying 18-minute session, followed by a 25% race. That is going to be round 3. And you saw the standings there in the chat. Hungary is leading by 1 point. 1 measly point over Team UK, 69 to 68. Germany third with 44, Russia 39, Spain 38, Brazil 30, Korea down in last with 12. My goodness, is that close? 1 point between Hungary and UK. I think there would have to be something major to happen for any other team to still have an opportunity. I think at this point, remember, we talked about the big 46 that you can get from a P1 and P2. That means Korea is already eliminated. Brazil, I mean, they have a technical chance, but it would require Hungary and UK at the very least to basically be disqualified with both of their drivers respectively. Otherwise, for Brazil, Spain, Russia, it's going to be very difficult. And even Germany, they're 25 points behind Hungary. That requires a win and then, and then some. So very difficult there for Germany to get something going there as well. So it's going to be between Hungary and the UK. It's going to be Selle and Bial versus Warren and Welch. And we already saw in the chat there a certain Louis Welch, one of the drivers for Team UK, really enjoying Canada. He was asking, why on earth are we doing Canada? So seems like he's very much a fan of this track, I guess. No, he's not a fan, but that doesn't mean he has to be slow. There have been plenty of drivers in esports and in the real world, in real F1, who did not like a particular track, but nonetheless did very well on it. So we might see something magical here from Louis Welch as the drivers are not loading into the session just yet. We are waiting for one driver to rejoin. I think that would be Alves for Brazil. Actually, we're waiting for both Brazilian drivers, I think. They have, they've both left us for whatever reason. So let's hope they do rejoin. In fact, we get the full grid of 14. Santos is back in. Alves doesn't seem like he is, but at least Santos is back. A lot of drivers try to restart the games to make sure that nothing unforeseen could happen. Restart of the game generally, does work when it comes to potential glitches, potential bugs, potential disconnects. The more lobbies you are in, the bigger your issues can be. And so the drivers just want to reset the whole game, reset the whole system, potentially even. Just like we had to with our streaming issues earlier. Apologies for that once more. But yeah, let's talk about Canada. Let's talk about this track. Dan, what can you tell us about it?
Well, this is a very quick circuit. We're going to be seeing probably qualifying times in the 107s, the low 107s. And if we are very, very lucky, we could see a timer just sneaking into the 1 minute 6s. But I'd say for a lot of drivers, just in general, that is very hard to achieve. But talking more about the track, it is very easy to get a penalty around here and there. That could be the breaking point for some of these drivers. There's a lot of places where you can run slightly wide or just cut a corner ever so slightly and pick up a time penalty. I'm thinking in the first sector where Hamilton and Vettel collided in 2019. That's a very easy place to get a penalty. And of course, the Wall of Champion chicane, that is almost a death corner really for a lot of these racers, especially with penalties and running wide as well. That is a big issue. But I think one of the most underrated corners for difficulty is probably at the end of the first DRS straight that they actually enter on the lap, which is just at the end of the first sector, at the beginning of the second sector. It is very easy at that chicane coming into the final sector to run slightly wide. So a lot of these drivers, they'll have to be tiptoeing around the circuit if they get warnings early on. That could really hurt their pace in the long run.
Yeah, certainly. Turns 8 and 9, you mentioned them, very, very tricky. You got to get them right. You got to stay close to the car in front, because that's where the detection point is for the DRS that you get for both straights, for the straight before and the straight after the Wall of Champions, all the way from the hairpin down to turn 1. Double DRS, one detection point for both of them. And if you're not close enough there, well, you might find yourself in a lot of trouble and in a little bit of a spot of bother there. Of course, the other detection point before turn 6, right at the end of the first sector, and then for the DRS straight between 7 and 8, the sort of back straight DRS, if you will. Generally, a very fast circuit here around Canada, but you have a couple of slow corners, and you mentioned turn 3, Hamilton Vettel. That completely unjust, I will say, as a German. Completely unjust 5-second penalty there to Vettel's time where that occurred. And I think most people hopefully agree. But that is a very, very easy spot to cut the corner of turn 3, the right-hander, just a little bit too much. And that can easily get you a warning. 3 of those, you get a penalty. And, of course, Wall of Champions, turn 13, 14. And turns 8, 9, you mentioned all of these. Turns 8, 9 especially, because it feels a lot more open than it actually is. It feels like a very open chicane. You try to carry as much speed as possible through it. But you have to be so risky on both sides, both on the right hand of turn 8 and the left hand of turn 9. And you have to position your car just right if you want to avoid that penalty and keep as much speed as possible. So very risky, and especially for the 18 laps that we are going to run around here. Let's once again go through the lineups. For Team Brazil, we have Alexander Alves and Giovanni Santos. For Germany, there will be a change that we couldn't put onto our graphic here. It will not be Miguel Pfeffermann alongside Leonard Götze. It will be Julian Naumann, a former Team Shazoo member, who will be participating for them. So they're really trying hard. I think Naumann, a much more familiar name in the world of league racing than Pfeffermann is. At least to me he is. I think Dan can attest to that as well. So Naumann now coming in, being subbed in. For Hungary, we'll still keep Zsolt Bial and Christoph Selle. Korea will keep Lim and Lee. Russia will have Tsvetkov and Tarabukin. Spain continues with Baena and Quesada. And Team UK, no changes there either. Louis Welch and Dylan Warren, and they are going to be battling against Hungary. 1 point. And here, oh, those are the standings. Not after the 2 races, but before the event. But I just wanted to show the point system, actually. There we go. That is much better. So this is the point system. And we're going to have to do some mental arithmetics during the race. I will try my best to keep up with it and let you guys know who is currently leading and who is currently set to win. Right now, of course, it is Hungary as they lead by 1 point over Team UK.
Yep, so we're about to get into qualifying here in Canada. 18-minute session for this one. It's looking a little bit cloudy overhead for these guys, but they will be taking the normal short qualifying like that we would mostly see in your standard leagues. But we'll be doing a 25% race after this one. But we do, of course, have to sort out the grid. Still 14 drivers in this race. No one seemingly coming out on circuit at the moment. It is awfully quiet down in the paddock, but the crowd, they're roaring in anticipation. We're just waiting for some of these guys to potentially come out. It's looking a little bit like a ghost town down there in pit lane.
Yeah, certainly seems so. No one's willing to come out of the pit lane just yet. Don't know exactly what's going on there. I think the drivers are looking maybe at the conditions and they might think, you know what, maybe it gets a bit warmer over the course of the session. Although I think I hear an engine roar, and indeed I do. It's one of the Renaults. That's one of the German drivers coming out, and there is another one. What is that? And there are more. That's a Racing Point. One of the Hungarians early on. There's a Haas and a Red Bull. That will be Korea and Brazil, and there's more to come. The first one out on track, I think, is Julian Naumann in the Renault.
Indeed it is. Julian Naumann's not raced here in this event tonight. He's the only driver to have come in for another racer so far this session. Actually, we did have, I believe it was Lee coming in mid-session, replacing Jong in the last one. He wasn't here for the first race. Jong had to take his place, but Naumann is replacing Pfefferman in this one, and we'll see how he gets on. He's just on his out lap at the moment, but soon he will be going for a lap of this beautiful circuit in I think this is an actual park. It is considered a street circuit, but it doesn't really have those vibes. It is very closed in, very unforgiving circuit as well. If you do make a slight error and well, touch a wall, that could be big wing damage for you, and through high-speed chicanes, that is a nightmare for you. But Naumann is beginning the third sector now. He's going to be warming up his tyres. He'll have a clear track out in front of him, bar a McLaren car of, I believe, Tarabukin just coming out for the Russian team. Hopefully he will get out of the way as Naumann begins this lap of Canada. He'll be the first one to put in a time through turns 1 and turns number 2. Yellow flags in sector 3. Do not worry about those, because they are just drivers backing off each other so as to not run into each other in towards the turn number 3 and 4. I believe this is actually turn 4 and 5. That is up towards the second sector split for Naumann. It is in it exactly on the dot, a 19-second sector 1, so very precise for this German driver here. Very well versed in league racing and a very well known driver through under the bridge section here and through this chicane. He's looked very tidy, and almost his biggest threats of invalidating the lap have gone away from him. To cross the second sector split is a 40.4 for the German driver, running it through the hairpin and on to one of the longest straights on the calendar on the run up towards the Wall of Champions chicane. Now DRS opened for Julian Naumann down the straightaway. He's not got any damage at all, as Lee has got a 5-place grid penalty for a collision with Santos. I wonder what's happened there, but Naumann's crossed the line through the chicane. He comes. The time to beat is at 1:07.9, just sneaking under that 1:08 mark.
Yeah, very strong lap from him here. You mentioned it before, 1:07 is what we would expect. Maybe someone will drop in the 1:06s. There's Santos half a second down. That's a 1:08.5. Just about gets that. And we have more drivers to come, if only I knew who. We have Bial, actually. There we go, the Hungarian driver coming towards the line. Lim 1.5 seconds down. So he's at a 1:09.5 there. There goes Bial through the final chicane. Tries to use as much as possible. And no, this is not Mario Götze, as Bial goes up to P2. 1:08.2 for him right there. This is not Mario Götze. This is Leonard Götze. I don't think they are related. There might be a small chance, but Götze is a rather common name in Germany. Not the most common by any means, but a rather common name. So I don't think they are related, but it's not Mario Götze driving here. That is Leonard Götze.
Yeah, Leonard Götze, he's been out. He's been here throughout the entire session. You can see only 5 drivers have actually been able to put in laps at the moment. I believe a driver on a run at the moment, it's actually Louis Welch. He is pushing at this point. He's on a 1:16 at the moment, which is far off the pace. He's on for a pretty strong time at the moment. I believe he was backed off on his previous best lap, and that is why he is not actually pushing. I believe there's an Alfa Romeo car as well, actually behind him of... I think I might be Baenya, but I don't think he's invalidated. So
no, he
Welch
hasn't, but he has slowed down.
So he's backed off on that lap. Welch, though, through the final chicane and to cross the line. Is this going to be enough for provisional pole? Not quite. Not a good lap from Louis Welch by his standards of 1:08.6. Granted, this is on 2 lap-old soft tyres. I'd expect him to certainly put in a better lap time come the end of the session.
Yeah, but the first strike, the first punch has been delivered by Team Hungary. Bial in second, Welch in fourth with Selle and Warren both without a lap time so far. Sella is actually out on track right now on his out lap. He's about to start one. We are going to focus on this battle because that's what's going to decide who will be the winner of tonight's event and the reserve team for the main ORL Future Esports Next Level Racing Nations Cup by Mobiuz Gaming. Sella now through the first sector. Looks good so far. Yeah, very neat and tidy here. Neat and tidy might not always look fast, but it certainly is almost always fast. And we see it right here with Sella through the middle sector. Now, it looks so clean the way he drives. There's no drama with the rear of the car. And maybe that might be too slow. Oh, he misses the apex there quite a bit through turn 8, and that might cost him significantly. Could have used a lot more curb there on the inside of turn 8 into the hairpin. That looks good. Yep, gets the apex nicely, just straddles it a little bit there. Now down the back straight and towards the wall of champions. We'll go on board to see how close the drivers get there. Sella on the entry now. Yeah, looks good. And oh, he does touch the wall actually and straightens it out to the line. And it is a 1 minute 8.4 for Sella. And it is P3 ahead of Louis Welch. Dylan Warren, meanwhile, also on a lap. He just started it. Yellow flag sector 2 and 3, as Dan mentioned earlier. This is usually for cars just slowing down, letting others by. And I think that may be an invalidation for Warren.
Yeah, Dylan Warren, he's unfortunately cut the corner through the chicane, and that is his lap put to a close end as Svetkov is about to cross the line here for the Russian team. Where's he going to put that McLaren car? He goes into 4th position. His teammate is also on a lap. Both of them looking pretty racy so far in this section. They had a really good Russian Grand Prix and a terrible Abu Dhabi performance. They're just going to be hoping to pick up some decent points. They are likely out of the fight for a reserve spot. That is not going to squash their spirits because they have gone into 2nd and 5th. Tarabukin only a little bit off of Julian Naumann, the only driver who has put in a 1 minute 7 lap time. Surprisingly, we're at the halfway point of this so far. Goetze at the moment is through the final sector. Naumann's teammate, he could pick up a slight slipstream from one of the Korean drivers in front of him down the straightaway, who is, I do believe it's actually on a lap, but Goetze is certainly in a strong position. He's already done a pretty good sector 2 time. Now through the chicane, he's closing very quickly to the back of Lee, and he's certainly going to get some slipstream down the straightaway to cross the line. What's it going to be for Goetze? And it is P2, just by about half a tenth, and Santos right to the top there.
Wow, that is a fantastic lap from Santos there. He's really maximizing his potential here. I think 1 minute 7.956 beats out Naumann by 0.04 of a second. Very, very strong lap. I was about to say the Germans definitely came to play. They are 25 points down on Hungary, 24 down on the UK, but they don't see themselves down and out just yet out of this event. And a 2-3 for them, certainly a strong performance. But I mean, you look at the top 7 and you see they're within half a second of each other. And there goes Quesada, 1 minute 7.8. He moves ahead of Santos. And that is the first strike by the Spaniards, as Baena is also on a lap right now. And I think what we might see here for the Spaniards is Warren goes P1. Everyone is improving. That is what we call track evolution right there. Dylan Warren now in P1. But what we might see between the Spaniards here, look, there is Quesada. And this right here on screen now is Baena. We might see some slipstream games down the back straight. That is so... No, never mind. He pulls out of the way. Quesada, no slipstream given to Baena here. They are not playing that game. They would be allowed to. There is no rule against it. In fact, it is encouraged for the drivers to do this, as Quesada's got really close there. Is he going to try and bump draft him? I don't think F1 cars are built for that.
Yeah, unless he wants his wing chopped off, then I wouldn't recommend doing that. I was watching Louis Welch on his run, and I think that the Red Bull car of Santos put him off through the final sector and actually caused him to invalidate. But that is me pulling out the excuses for my fellow countryman of Louis Welch. It's really unfortunate that he wasn't able to put in that lap time because he was quite a ways up. He is still pushing, but it says he's invalid on my screen, at least on the track map to the right hand side, but he is still pushing. I guess he doesn't plan to use these tires any further if he does decide to come into the pit lane, which is what I would expect him to be doing, as we'll just see possibly if he is coming to the pits, and he is indeed. What about Baena though on a run? He's pretty strong so far, 18.8 through the first sector, splitting into sector 2 at this chicane. He's looking pretty strong so far on this run. Is the Spaniard, his teammate Quesada, already in P2 to cross into the second sector split. That's a 39.9, a very nice time through there, as big lock up through the hairpin for the Spaniard. But Baena now, he is out onto the straightaway. No one to give him slipstream down through here, but on the run up towards the to the chicane, you can see green flags flashing in front of him. That might be slightly putting him off through the wall of champion chicane. He's just about avoided contact with the wall on the right hand side, but to cross the line here is Baena to go, and it is P1 indeed. He goes ahead of Dylan Warren by about that is 2.5 tenths almost. Brilliant stuff from him there. Dylan Warren demoted to P2.
Yeah, quarter of a second there for Baena past Warren. What a great lap time that is. 1 minute 7.6. Here goes Alves across the line. What is it going to be for him? It's an invalidation. Now we have the Hungarians coming. Bial and Sella. Sella is going to be the first one here. Tsvetkov on a lap as well. Santos on a lap as well. And more drivers to come. But Sella across the line. He's coming through the final chicane. What can he do? Takes the very narrow run here. And it is P6, a millisecond behind Naumann and ahead of Goetze. Bial, meanwhile, now coming through the final chicane. A little bit of a slide there on exit, but I don't think he hit the wall. He goes to the line. It is P4 for him, just behind Quesada, but the Spaniard's going really, really strong here. It might just be a tad bit too late.
Yeah, absolutely. As more drivers still completing laps here. I do believe that Alves is one of them, the only driver yet to put in a representative lap time at the moment. He's in 14th position at this point in time. He's not had a good event so far tonight. Is yellow flags in sector 2 and 3, so I wonder if there's any issues. Oh, a really terrible run there for Alves, and that has led to him invalidating his lap time. We'll see what it could have been at least, and it was not a good lap time for him there. The Brazilian driver would have done a 109.2. But now this is sort of the calm before the storm. A lot of drivers on out laps, and you'd expect them to begin their final runs very soon. I believe someone that we do need to watch out for is Louis Welch. He's all the way down in 12th position on a 108.6. Given what we've seen from him in the past, this is definitely not a position we're used to seeing him in.
Oh, meanwhile, massive crash for Dylan Warren. He was just on a lap and he's completely torn off his front wing there. On the exit of turn 4, he completely lost control of the car. Oh, and that might be his qualifying over. He needs to get back to the pit lane ASAP. If he's not able to do that, then his qualifying might be completely over and done. He's in P2 right now, so he wouldn't fall too far down the order. But of course, very, very damaging there. Quesada going slowly. He's aborted his lap. We've got Lee currently in P10. He just started one. Louis Welch, he is on one a little bit further down right now in P12, and certainly capable of a lot more than that. He might get some slipstream here off of some of the cars ahead. Let's hope they don't slow him down. Oh, that's a bad misunderstanding between Welch and I think that was Quesada in the Alfa Romeo. Really, really bad misunderstanding. Welch coming back into the pit lane. Dylan Warren as well, of course, with the damage that he has. And let's hope that this isn't the end for Team UK here in the qualifying, and they can continue, at least with Louis Welch. He may have one more run to go.
Yeah, we've just got under 3 minutes left in this session, so you would expect Louis to be able to come out and at least put in another time, but it is really unfortunate that he wasn't able to complete that lap as Naumann clunking the wall really heavily there. And he was looking like he was improving on his previous best lap, but that has all completely gone down the drain, and he's not going to be pushing again there. Luckily, no damage. He actually really seemed to have snapped on the Renault car, so it is very interesting to see how he was able to hold on to that one and not actually hit the wall once again. So really good stuff from him there. I'm trying to see if anyone is on a run. I don't believe anyone's on a push lap at the moment. Only a couple drivers out on circuit, so this truly is the calm before the storm, and drivers, they'll soon come out of the pit lane to begin their final laps of qualifying here.
Yeah, in fact, a couple drivers are already out. Sella, Tarabukin, Lim, and Alves. And we're going to look at Sella here, because once again, it is the battle between Hungary and UK that will matter the most, and that will, I think, decide, with Germany being 25 points behind and every other team even more than that. I think it is that which will decide who is going to win the event here and become the reserve team for the ORL Future Esports Next Level Racing Nations Cup by Mobiuz Gaming. Sella about to start his lap, and he will, I think, be one of the first ones to do so as he heads through the hairpin. Now needs to gather a bit of speed and then make it through the chicane. The first one is going to be Lim, actually, in P13 right now, but we're going to focus on Sella, Alves as well in P14, trying to get a lap in, and as well Tarabukin, he might be one to look out for, but Sella now about to cross the line, and he starts a lap. I'm really starting to lose my voice, actually. I had to mute my microphone twice already to just cough, but we're just gonna carry this one. Sella through the first sector. Oh, just grazes the wall there through turn 5, now 6. Looks good so far. Oh, bit of a slide there right on the apex. That hurts your exit speed for this DRS straight right here towards turn 8. Yeah, wide entry, good exit. Oh, again, a little bit of a swerve there. Doesn't look all too stable, but he's driving the car to the limit, and I think that's what we see here. Slightly misses the apex on the hairpin as well, but that should give him an early exit. Naumann retires, so his session is over. Everyone else, no, Götze also in, so the Germans both will not improve. P6 and P8 at the very best for them. Never mind, Götze has gone on an outlet, but I mean, the time is over, so I'm not sure what's going on here. Sella across the line, what's it going to be for him? It is no improvement.
Oh dear for Sella there. I do believe there is a little bit of a timing glitch going on because, well, both of the Spanish cars are on outlaps at the moment.
Whoa.
There's Bial going into second position, I do believe, as a good time from him. Not enough to beat Bayenya at the moment, but Dylan Warren's just begun a lap. He invalidated his first attempt, so he was not able to put any representative time. Lou Welch is 4/10 up on his previous best time. This could be a good time from him. Only 9th. For Louis Welch. That is disappointing by his standards. Svetkov retires. That is out on track as well. And Warren Sazella was able to actually catch that one. No, not quite, as Welch retires it. I do believe that the session is now confirmed to be over because we do have checkered flags out on circuit. So drivers, they're allowed to complete their runs, but if they are not pushing, then it is, well, their qualifying is over. They don't get to start another lap. Drivers in the final sector at the moment. I see a Hungarian driver. Doesn't seem like Zella's pushing. What about Bial? Is he going for a second one in a row? Not quite, which do... Tarabukin goes into second position under my radar. Dylan Warren, though, is going to be the next one to probably be contesting for a strong position. He's in the final sector at the moment. He really does not like this circuit. Does a young British driver. Maybe if he can at least just improve onto the front row of the grid, he'll be happy coming into the race. He almost brushes the wall. He indeed does hit the wall, and I might have lost him a bit of time. Santos going into P4. Dylan Warren to the top with a 1 minute 7.5. Really good time from him. What about Quesada, though, to cross the line? It's going to be no, or it is an improvement, but not enough to dethrone Dylan Warren, who takes pole here.
Yeah, Banya in second place. He was the last one to come across the line there, but it seems like he did not improve either. So Dylan Warren on pole position, and that bodes well for Team UK. Bial, his main rival, in P4, but we see further down the order, Sella and Welch, P8 and P10. It reverses a little bit, so it's going to be very interesting to see if they finish like this right now. If they were to finish this way, Team UK would qualify for the ORL Future Esports Next Level Racing Nations Cup by Mobiuz Gaming. They would be the reserve. Just mix up two letters there. The reserve nation, the 11th team to join this event. In case another team drops out or doesn't have enough drivers available for the event, they would be the ones to step in and be the 11th team there. But yeah, we're getting ready. It is just as dry and just as clear as it was in qualifying. In fact, even clearer than that, as the drivers are getting ready for the race. And we're just quickly going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after a few messages from our sponsors.
Welcome back, everyone, for the Canadian Grand Prix, the 25% race, 18 laps around the circuit. Gilles Villeneuve, Dylan Warren is taking us off on pole position. We are just on the formation lap. Drivers have been able to lock in their strategies, and they will be taking us through. Unsurprisingly, everyone outside the top 10 who get a free choice of tyres, they have been allowed to pick whatever tyre they want, and they get a fresh set. Of course, Svetkov is a big surprise, actually, to be that far back down the order. He's shown some really great pace in this session. Maybe he was aiming for that P11 position. That is a certain possibility, as Lim and Alves and Lee, they've also opted for the medium tyre. But we are about to get ready to go on this race. We just got to wait for them to finish up on this formation lap. How exciting is this one, Austin?
I mean, it's very exciting. I mean, we have right now the gaps between Team UK and Hungary, Warren and Bial, that would be 9 points there, but Sella would get a couple of points back there too on Louis Welch. So right now the UK would gain 7 points on Hungary, and since they are one down, they would win by 6. That is what Team Hungary has to gain on Team UK, 6 points right now. They can do that in a bunch of different ways. If Bial gains 2 places and overtakes Starbuchan and Banya, that's already 5 points right there. That means Sella would only have to overtake Naumann, and if Warren and Welch stay in the same places, then that is that, and that is all she wrote, as the drivers are now lining up on the grid, and we have 18 laps to go here for the Canadian Grand Prix. And just to quickly mention once again, tire life, 12 laps on the softs, 19 on the mediums. So the softs alone wouldn't even make it, but here we go.
Yep, so the lights are coming on. It's UK versus Hungary in the Canadian Grand Prix. And we are just waiting in anticipation. There it is. The lights are out, and who has got the better getaway? Out of the 2 leaders, you can see 3 abreast all the way already at the back. There was Louis Welch getting a brilliant getaway, as Baenya losing out positions almost to the Hungarian driver of Bial Tarabukin. Also trying to get involved there. Louis Welch already up into 6th position in this Grand Prix for Team UK. That's going to work an absolute treat for him, as Sellers might actually be losing out to more position, because here comes Quesada on the inside of the Hungarian driver. They're fighting wheel to wheel still, coming out through here into the 2nd sector. Now Naumann is also trying to get involved in this action onto the back of the Hungarian, the Racing Point car. Naumann might go for the move up the inside line. He's broken later, and he's gone for the overtake. What a move in towards the chicane, but it might have all been in vain, because here comes Sella back at him in towards the hairpin. They come. Sella on the outside, Naumann on the inside. Naumann with the inside line is going to be a lot more advantageous on the exit. There's the Williams in the way. That was Louis Welch going off the circuit there, and that is completely closed the door for Sella to get through, who is now, it's actually Louis Welch is fighting back with Quesada. It's been a hectic lap 1 already, as Louis Welch just tucking into the back of Quesada. He lost that position through the hairpin. I wonder what happened with him.
Yeah, I don't know. We didn't catch it, unfortunately, but something was clearly going on. Now, Nauman putting a bit of pressure on Welch, almost looking for that move there. Decides not to. Meanwhile, Lee has gained 4 places, and Götze has fallen down 5 as Louis Welch has gained 3. He was up 4 at one point now. Lost one on Quesada, but the top 6 completely unchanged, and there goes Nauman down the inside on Welch and overshoots it a little bit and has to give back the position there just a little bit too fine. In fact, loses one on Sella as well. Sella, the Racing Point, the Hungarian driver, moving past there. Nauman down to 9th. It is very hectic there in the midfield. They all are jostling for position. They all want to get up the order. And they know that their qualifying results for all 3 of them, I think, are not what they are usually capable of. I think that is certainly true for all 3 of them. They're Welch, Sella, and Nauman, and so they are battling tooth and nail to try and get some positions. But they forget that they'd be better served if they just work together. If they just look ahead, Quesada, Santos, Bial, you know, if they try and close in on them. But no, they have to battle in between each other.
Yep, absolutely. It makes for a brilliant spectacle here. Lap number 3 has just begun, and this is where everything can and will change. DRS has now been enabled. If you're in 1 second of the car in front, then you get to utilize that little letterbox, as Martin Brundle likes to put it. You get to utilize that down the straightaway to give it that little bit of extra drag reduction. I think the best driver who can use that to full effect is going to be Sella, because Louis Welch doesn't have DRS on the car in front. He's already dropped out of DRS range of Quesada, so he's losing out quite a lot in this Grand Prix. It's not a very long straightaway in towards turn number 8, so Zella wasn't able to get close enough to actually make any move really come into fruition. Louis Welch running a low on ERS as well, so he's struggling at this point in the Grand Prix, as I wouldn't be surprised actually if we do see a couple of these drivers maybe pull into the pits pretty early into this one. We could see them as early as lap number 3. It is pretty damn early, but I would not throw it out the water, and indeed they all stay out on circuit. Warren is leading from Baena, from Tarabukin, who's having a really good race in P3, Bial in P4, Santos in P5, Quesada right up the back of the Brazilian in towards turn number 1, so close to making the move stick, but he just can't get close enough to the back of the Brazilian car, so he remains in P6 here.
Yeah, as we always say and as we always see, it is so difficult to overtake when you're in a DRS train. And we see that right there with the top 6. Everyone behind Dylan Warren in a little bit of a train there. And so they struggle to get any kind of overtaking opportunity done as we look at Bial. Okay, we don't want to look at the back of that car. We'll look at the front instead. There we go. As Tarabukin gets a little slide and Bial taps the wall. So the drivers are really playing with fire around this track. Tsvetkov, meanwhile, the first one, or the second one actually, to pick up a penalty there. He is down in 11th. Lee was the first one with the penalty. And you see Louis Welch is actually losing quite a bit of time to the cars in front. To Quesada, who might be going for a move here on the Red Bull of Santos into the chicane. As we have a couple of cars pitting. And oh my, the Red Bull had to cut the corner there because 2 into 1 does not go. And Santos keeps the position by going off track. Not sure if that will land on the steward's table. I think it will, but their decision, we don't know. But I'm pretty sure Quesada is not happy about that one, as we see Warren, Tarabukin, Lim, Alves, and Götze all in the pit lane to switch onto what I would assume to be medium tire. No, actually, Lim and Alves go onto softs. That's surprising. But everyone else onto mediums.
Yep, of course, those guys starting outside the top 10, they couldn't really go onto a set of the medium compound of tyres, because then they'd have to pit again. You have to mandatory use at least 2 compounds of tyres in every Grand Prix, and that applies from 25% upwards, as Nauman gets a time penalty as well. He had a miraculous save out of the final corner. He just managed to hold on to the car, but he was so close to crashing into the inside wall. He is very close to the back of Zeller at the moment, but Zeller also has DRS to Louis Welch at this point, who is losing out even more time to Quesada, who's right up to the rear of Santos in towards the chicane, round number 2, and he's made that one stick. He's now into the into P3 on circuit, but Santos does come into the pit lane, as does Welch, as does Zeller. So all these guys pitting very early on. Only a couple of drivers actually left on the set of the soft tyres that they started on. Biao and Quesada are those drivers here.
Yeah, and I gotta say, if I'm Santos, I'm pretty angry right now because Santos was on his way into the pit lane and Quesada just overtook him there on the back straight before the Wall of Champions. And yeah, Santos was trying to just straight line it into the pit lane, but he had to slow down because of the car in front of him being Quesada, who swerved in front of him to then take the corner, knowing that he's cleared him. That's all fine and dandy, but I would still be pretty angry at that. It lost him quite a bit of time there, I think, about half a second to a second possibly. And Santos now down in 8th after the pit stop. Only 4 drivers left to pit. Bial for Team Hungary being one of them, but right now everything is going the UK's way. Dylan Warren, your net leader. Louis Welch in a net 5th place. Sella in a net 6th. Those two might move down now that Bial and Quesada are both pitting. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. 1.3 seconds of gap here. It might be that Quesada is going to hold up. No, not really. I was going to say it's going to hold up Bial a little bit, but that is not the case. Now, all we have left to pit is the 2 medium runners of Tsvetkov and Lee.
Yep, those two, of course, starting on the medium tires. They can go longer into this race than the drivers who started on the set of the stops. Look at how close Bial was to overcutting Tarabukin. He wasn't able to, unfortunately, get that one there, but he is right up to the rear of the McLaren car with 2 laps fresher tires as well, without a penalty to his name. He will be jumping both of the drivers in front of him at this stage if it does stay this way. Goetze putting in the fastest lap. He's right down the order in 14th. Bial, though, trying to make a move on Tarabukin, and Tarabukin with the DRS on the car in front is really difficult for him to actually get close at all on his rival. So possibly in towards the Wall of Champions chicane or in towards turn number 1. He's got plenty of options around this circuit, and that is one of the things I love about this track. There's so many places for these guys to overtake another car in front of him, but he's just not close enough. The DRS train characteristic of this track, and well, all the fighting between these guys is allowed for Dylan Warren to slip away up the road. He is now leading the race commandingly, of course. A net race lead, 2 drivers in front of him yet to pit, but he is going to catch them very, very quickly because of the tyre degradation around here. A low grip circuit means a lot of the time the tyres are taking a beating, as Santos is on the back of Quesada, so a lot of moves still got potential to be brewing, but I think the closest battle at the moment is Bial and Tarabukin.
Yeah, it certainly looks like it on track. I mean, Bial is following Tarabukin everywhere, and meanwhile, Alves is going for the move on limb here over 12th place. We'll just quickly catch that. He's got the move complete. Now back to Bial and Tarabukin just to see what is going on there. We don't want to miss anything there because this is for the championship, if you will, for the qualification of the Nations Cup. Or for the Nations Cup, and here he goes. Oh, Tarabukin turns in on him. I think Tarabukin didn't expect that move, and now him and Bial doesn't have any visible damage, but he certainly has, I'm pretty sure, some kind of damage. Oh, and Tarabukin tries to squeeze him as much as possible there, and almost too much. Don't know what was going on through his mind there, but yeah, certainly very strong defense from Tarabukin. And Bial maybe a little bit optimistic into the hairpin as well. So no love lost, I think, between those 2 drivers.
Yeah, it's just very touch and go when you have situations like that. It can go either way. You could say that Bial was a bit of a dive bomb, but you could say Tarabukin, he had to leave the space. We could see another bout between the pair of them, though, because 0.3 is the gap between the both of them coming onto the DRS straight away. It seemed like Bial, who has more ERS than Tarabukin, that is one thing to also note. He has more resources to fight, as Baena gets a time penalty. That's another one added to his race time. Bial still without one in this race, as he's not close enough to go for a dive bomb in towards the hairpin, but he could try and opt for a move on exit. No deltas because Gertz has rejoined the session. Here is Bial using up some of his overtake. He's just not close enough, but he could try and go for the move very soon here. Tarabukin run out of ERS. This is a very optimistic move, and going into the wall, wing damage for Bial there. Really unfortunate that is the situation for him, but he went for a move at a gap that really was never going to open up. This will push him back the way of Quesada, who puts in the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. He's on ice at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know what Bial was thinking there. He wanted to get the outside for the chicane, but that was never going to open up. Tarabukin placed his car in a position where there was never that gap that was a car width of space there for Bial to get into. And so it would have been the better choice for Bial to go to the inside. But he wanted to avoid that in case we both know, and I think most viewers know, the physics of this game. But just to quickly explain for those that might not know, if you're on the inside, it is more likely that you spin when there is contact and you're slightly behind. Whereas I think in reality, if that were to happen, I think the car in front is the more likely to spin. The car on the outside, that is, and in front. But here on this game, the car that's on the inside and behind tends to be the one that's more likely to spin on the game. So he wanted to not be there in that moment, as now we have the two medium runners that haven't pitted yet, Lee and Svetkov, now into the pit lane. And for Bial, I think that will be the end of his run, trying to catch and overtake Tarabukin and Baenya. But if he stays close enough, I mean, look at the penalties. Baenya has 6 seconds, Tarabukin 3. He just needs to stay close enough, and he has an opportunity to get the positions and get a P2 on penalties. The only question then becomes, with Louis Welch now having a penalty, oh, this might get really close. This might get really close. If Dylan Warren also picks up a penalty, then we could be in for a very interesting race here. And I don't know which way this is going to go. Right now, as things stand, Team UK would win this qualifying event, I think, by about 2 points.
That would be so close between the pair of them, but Quesada going for the move on Bial down the straightaway. Easy and done for him. Bial's going to be losing so much time, and he is out of the 3-second window that he does need to Dylan Warren if he does pick up a penalty. So that is no guarantees going back for him. Louis Welch is quite a ways ahead of Zeller as well. I thought those guys were a little bit closer, and I actually think Zeller's lost quite a bit of time. He might have made a mistake. He lost 8/10 on that last lap, so he's really struggling at this point in the Grand Prix. Not too much really going on circuit at the moment. We only have just about 6.5 laps left in this Grand Prix before we really find out which team is going to be going to the Nations Cup. For Germany, it seems like their hopes are over. They were the closest to the two teams, but they are running 11th and 14th. Naumann had to pit for wing damage on the previous lap. So I think it is a straight bout between the English and the Hungarian, as Louis Welch, he scraped the wall, but I think he did just manage to get away without any wing damage. Bial, this is going to add to his worries. He is now without DRS range on the cars in front, so he is going to really struggle for pace, especially since these guys will be pulling away from him.
Yeah, looking at it right now as well, Louis Welch is catching up to both Santos and Bial. It seems, obviously, Bial with that massive wing damage there on the left side of his front wing. He's really not having a good time. What is helping him right now is that Baenya has 6 seconds. Tarabukin and Quesada both have 3 seconds of time penalties. And the guys behind, Santos and Welch, also have at least 3 seconds of time penalties. We see it right there. Both of them have exactly 3 seconds. But Bial needs to keep a 3-second gap to Tarabukin, and I just don't see that happening as Tarabukin is almost falling out of DRS range to Baenya here. But he's just about in it, and he gets some back right now on DRS there down the back straight. So gap getting really close there, but it's going to be difficult for Team Hungary to get anything going, and to make matters worse, Svetkov just overtook Zeller into turn 8 on DRS. Again, no position really lost for the Hungarians, as Svetkov has a 3-second time penalty as well. But Welch now stays ahead of Zeller here. I want to see quickly. Zeller also has wing damage. Both Hungarian drivers with wing damage.
Disaster for the Hungarian team. They could see their hopes of making it into the Nation Cup come crashing down here. But meanwhile, back at the front of the order, Baenya's been really close to the back of Dylan Warren for a number of laps here. He does have 6 seconds of time penalties to his name. Dylan Warren without a penalty so far in this race. Both of these guys running really low on ERS. This looks like this could be a battle that could go down in the history books as one of the tightest affairs. The top 4 drivers all in DRS range of each other. there's yellow flags. That seems like it would be for a Red Bull car of Alva's, I think, having an incident as down the straightaway, no moves being made, but you really expect all of the overtakes to come down the longest part of the circuit. Quesada seems like he is the quickest out of all these guys, the freshest medium tyres of them all. You can see the confidence that he has through the corners in comparison to his rivals. Now on the exit of the corner, it'd be smart for him to let his teammate by here and not put up too much of a fight, give him slipstream down the straightaway to attack Dylan Warren in towards the next couple of corners. Baena does not want to do it. These guys still fighting with all they've got to at least have some sort of hope in going into the Nations Cup. No moves being made this time by Quesada, does not want to attack his teammate. But beginning lap number 15, Dylan Warren, he's just looking like he is coming under such threat from these guys. You can see the difference in ERS that they have, 30% for Baena and 50% for Quesada. Dylan Warren sub 10%, he's almost completely out of it. He's really struggling at this point in the Grand Prix. Lap 15, they're about halfway through. He's still been leading for a long time, and if he just doesn't get a penalty, you'd expect him to win this race.
Yeah, certainly. I think he is the favorite here. If I was engineering Team Spain, I'd probably tell him right now that Baena should let Quesada by for multiple reasons. I mean, we look at the penalty situation. Quesada might be able to get something going here. Baena with 6 seconds. I mean, that's pretty much done. 3 seconds at least, something where there can be some kind of movement. Maybe if Dylan Warren gets 1 penalty as well. He won't get 2, but maybe if he gets 1, then Quesada might be in for it. And there it is, exactly what I was saying just happened. Quesada was passing Baena here. Baena let him by. Friendly overtake there. No fight from Baena. He pulled out of the racing line, and Quesada with more ERS is going to be more of a threat to Dylan Warren, at least on track. And Dylan Warren is going to have to make sure. But now Quesada, are you kidding me? Quesada, just as he was let by, picks up his second 3-second time penalty. They're both on 6 seconds now. Well, that was completely useless.
Yeah, that is really going to hurt them coming into the end of this Grand Prix. As Lee is out of the race. That is on track at where Brendan Hartley and Lott Stroll collided in 2018. Really unfortunate. I think we're a bit too late in the Grand Prix to actually have a safety car in this one. Quesada, though, he's right up to the back of Dylan Warren. 4/10 is the gap between the pair of them. 2 laps. Fresher tyres on the Alfa Romeo car. Dylan Warren without any ERS to utilise down the straightaway. I think we might have to call the police off this one because we've just seen an absolute slaughtering from Quesada. Moving into the lead of the Grand Prix. He's still got to deal with those time penalties that he has towards the end of the Grand Prix as Lee leaves the session. I think Dylan Warren's main priority now is to just not get a penalty. Lap 17 of the Grand Prix, and he's got 2 more tours until he possibly could win this Grand Prix. But Quesada, he's going to do everything in his power to stretch the gap as much as he can in hopes that Dylan Warren takes a time penalty at some point and he could possibly snatch this win from under his nose.
Yeah, 0.8 of a second right now, but Warren will have the DRS here on Quesada, so he can get about a 10th or 2 back on this straight. And there we go. It's over a second now, but he will gain some. What? Will he gain some back? He didn't gain any back. What is going on here? Quesada with no DRS quicker than Warren with DRS, but the exit of turn 9 better for Warren here. Now the question is, with the difference in tires, I think it should be a better exit for Quesada, but not enough. Yellow flag in sector 1, I think that was for Lim potentially. Either Lim or Naumann. Either one of the drivers outside the top 10 there. As Dylan Warren still with DRS, so that helps him quite a bit. Under a second still, but I think with 1 more lap to go, if Dylan Warren doesn't get a penalty, he for sure wins. If he does get a penalty, he still likely wins. He would have to get 2 penalties in 1 lap, and I don't think that is even possible unless, he has 2 warnings. Then he could get 1 warning. That would make it a 3-second time penalty, and then an additional straight up 3-second time penalties. That could still happen, but very unlikely here. Dylan Warren doing everything he can to just stay close enough to Segi Quesada and make sure that the Team UK qualifies for the ORL FuturEsports Next Level Racing Nations Cup by Mobiuz Gaming. One more corner to go after the hairpin. That's going to be, well, 2 more corners really, but they count as one. That is the Wall of Champions. They have to get past once more. Quesada now running down towards the line, and he will get it on track, but on penalties, it will be Dylan Warren getting that win.
Out of the final corner they come. Quesada to cross the line. He wins on track, but Dylan Warren, he takes the win in the end on penalties at a track he absolutely hates. Tarabukin just missing out on P2 by 1/10 of a second as Biao, he did all he could, but he only managed P4 in the end. Baenya dropping down into 5th position after finishing 3rd on track after 6 seconds of time penalties went his way. Santos in 6th, 7th for Louis Welch, and finishing ahead of Zeller, which confirms, I think, Britain have done enough, as they've done it for the flag. They've qualified, pending stewards results, of course. They've qualified for the Nations Cup as a reserve. If a team is not able to partake in the main attraction, the main event, then those guys will be able to step up last minute and compete with the top dogs as the last of the drivers cross the line. But that is an end to what has been a brilliant session of racing. We've had our issues, but it has all come up good. That is the end of our time here. It's been a brilliant ride in these 3 races.
Yeah, and I gotta say, the qualifying events have really come full circle. We saw in the first event, it was a massive battle between a Spanish team that then qualified and a Finnish team that ultimately also qualified. And we saw teams like the second Hungarian squad that has participated here as well tonight. Team UK that was hit by massive misfortune. We saw Team Turkey that then dominated qualifying event 2, and finally Team UK that sat out qualifying event 2 come here for qualifying event 3, and at the very least they qualify for the event this way. Dylan Warren and Louis Welch doing all they can, and ultimately they win by 10 points over Team Hungary. That would be a second Hungarian team, of course, because the main Hungarian team, including the likes of Dani Berezne, Ben Sabakonyi, and Istvan Puki, as well as Norbert Jakob. That team, of course, is already qualified and was invited, in fact, to the event, as some others were as well. But here are the results. UK, Dylan Warren getting the win and qualifying Team UK for that reserve spot in the ORL and FuturEsports Next Level Racing Nations Cup by Mobiuz Gaming. Spain ultimately doing well. I think they will get 3rd place in the end. Hungary second, with Bial 4th, Sella 8th in this race, but they will keep 2nd place in the standings. And yeah, if you want to see more action from the ORL FuturEsports Next Level Racing Nations Cup by Mobiuz Gaming, tune in this Sunday at 6 p.m. Central European. Is it 6 p.m. or 7 p.m.? I think it's 7 p.m. Central European time. Apologies. 7 p.m. Central European time, 6 p.m. UK. That's the right way around. And we will be there with round 4, which will bring us, if only I knew off the top of my head. Let me quickly find it. Here it is, which will bring us to 2 of the tracks we saw today, in fact. Will bring us to Russia and Abu Dhabi, the first 2 races of tonight. We will see again on Sunday. Then it will be Aladar alongside me once more. And with that, thank you very much, everyone, for watching. And we will have a few more words from our sponsors, but we will see you on Sunday. And goodbye.
It's time now. Your blood is burning. Your stamina is rising. Greet all the challenges in your way.
FES.